Thank you very much indeed, Harriet. It's now my pleasure to introduce the next of our panellists, and that's Zeenat Azmi, who's currently doing a master's degree in global development and education. She's had experience as a volunteer in cocoa farming communities in Ghana and has worked with a local Christian pastor in Ghana to establish a fairly traded handicrafts business and a project for women's education. She's a member of the Muslim Council of Britain Interfaith Relations Committee. She's actively involved in fair trade campaigning and has helped to produce a campaign video on faith in fair trade in 2010. So, Zeenat, welcome. We look forward very much to hearing what you have to say.
I'd like to begin in the name of God, the most gracious and most merciful. And it's a great honour to be here among leaders who have inspired us and young people like myself who are inspired by their faith to pour their energy into something that's one of the greatest challenges of our time. For myself, I think one of the greatest things I've learned from my faith is that the well-being of others is integral to my own well-being, that that I'm not a true believer, and I love for my brother what I love for myself, that I cannot go to sleep at night on a full stomach while I know that my neighbour is hungry. Or beyond even personal connections, we say that when the eye is afflicted, the whole body feels pain. So it means that it's impossible to detach yourself from the rest of the community or the rest of the world, that you will be aware of the needs and you will be affected by it. So you need to look for solutions and to have a sense of that pain and that empathy. Charity is one of the pillars of Islam, and it's more than an encouraged act. It's an obligation upon everyone. It's something that purifies them, that keeps them conscious that wealth and what we've been provided with is a trust, and it's a test for us that we will be accountable for, that is not sent only to serve ourselves, but we have to use it in a responsible way, that we deal justly with people, that we use our power in a way that is just, so that we don't take advantage of others or exploit. And if there is any corruption in our dealings, then we will be held accountable for that. So because of this, I had a feeling that I wanted to use what I had been given. If I had time, I had education, I had all these opportunities, that I needed to find a way to use my efforts in the best way, to look at global issues of poverty. And I quickly realized that it's not simply about giving money, that we need to understand what are the causes of poverty, what is causing all this deprivation to continue. It was clear that there's some great imbalance, that there is enough food to feed the world, but yet there are so many starving, that clothes are continually flooding in dirt cheap into the high street, but are we conscious of how they're being made or what kind of pressure that's creating? So I wanted to look deeper into these issues. I went to Ghana, and I met with cocoa farming communities who applied fair trade principles in their work and in their life. And I realised that they tied very closely with my own, that they afforded human dignity in their work, so that the people, they were proud of what they were producing, and they felt that connection, that global unity, that they were supported in that work, so that they were, that they had a foundation of faith that told them that they could not cheat each other, that they had to aspire and have mutual cooperation to build their society up. And then they felt that on the other side, that we were also benefiting, that we were enjoying what they were providing, and that they were proud of that too. I was also very conscious that on this side, that international institutions, they were kicking away the ladder, it said, for poor nations, that they weren't giving them the chance to develop their own industries, but were rather making them open up to outside competition that they were perhaps not ready for. While on the other hand, we were still protecting our own industries in the West. So we were giving subsidies that were distorting prices, so it became a double injustice. Anyway, so I'm looking for ways to act on this new knowledge, and as I said, I began with a Christian pastor. We talked a lot, and we realised that there was something that we could take action on. So we began a project to educate women and to also provide work for them. And so in beginning this kind of enterprise, I have to be conscious of the Islamic principles of business, of paying a worker on time, of understanding what their needs are, and to also be working in partnership so that we're building something greater together. So it's not something that is serving me, but serving a whole community. And then also coming back and trying to campaign, realizing that as a member of faith community, that we have so much power, that we have so much will to give, so that we need to understand what is the best way to give, what is the power that we have in this community. I think that the Christian community have been pioneers in trade justice and fair trade, and the Muslim community can learn a lot from that example. So by joining together, we can really take a lot, because I'm very conscious that we have the same values, but perhaps the Muslim community haven't been as conscious of fair trade as a platform for addressing these issues, or the politics involved of trade justice. So then it becomes our role as young people who are learning about these politics, who are learning and educating themselves about the processes involved. So then we can take that to our communities, and we can raise that awareness. So it's not simply about giving aid and money, but also giving it in our voices, in our collective voices. I wanted to end with this verse that I found that I thought encapsulated things quite nicely. It's from chapter 16 in the Quran, verse 92. And be not like her who unravels her yarn, disintegrating it into pieces after she has spun it strongly. You make your oaths to be means of deceit between you, because one nation is more plentiful than another nation. And God only tries you by this. And he will certainly make clear to you on the resurrection day that about which you differed. So I thought this was nice because it has a bit of a thread yarn metaphor, so it works with the cotton theme. But we have a sense of, with globalization, that we're building all these connections and ties with each other, and to build those ties strongly, we need to do them in the most honest way. And as Muslims, we also have a sense of a connection to God being described as a rope, as a strong rope. So it's something to hold on tightly to, and to not let things disintegrate. It describes having oaths. So these are like the discussions and the deals that we are making, to do them in an honest way, that we're not saying that we want to develop nations, but at the same time we're hampering things with, by protecting our own, but we actually have to take things forward and to actually progress rather than constricting things. Because in the end, that will only create mistrust and make people close off more, so that we can't progress on to, making those changes that are vital at this moment. And they do affect us all. It's not simply about helping a nation, that is far away, that's distant from us, but the issues that come along with it, climate change, and the fragility that ensues when people are poor and desperate, they affect us all. So. I look forward to learning about what kind of actions we can come together on throughout the day. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Zeenat, for your encouraging and positive remarks. As a young Muslim participant of the program. Now, may I call upon Sam Sletcher, who is the Christian youth participant of the program. He had just finished his undergraduate degree in human geography at Durham University. He is president of the Durham Speak Society. Speak is a Christian, social and environmental justice campaigning group, organizing events, raising awareness and campaigning. In February this year, Speak took part in Fair Trade Show of Your Label campaign, where they made a massive art attack of the Fair Trade logo in the park outside Durham Cathedral, filming the event from the top of the crowd. Sad selection.
I'm delighted to be here today alongside Christians and Muslims who share a passion for trade justice. My own faith has taught me to respect one another and that we all share one planet. For me, to love my neighbour as Jesus taught is to honour the dignity of my sisters and my brothers who are made in the image and likeness of God. The more I learn about the intricate ways in which we are connected to those on the other side of the world, the more I realise to love my neighbour is to pursue an ethical commitment to politics and a responsibility that does not stop at the borders of an economic trade zone. As I've been learning about the economic marginalisation of West African farmers through distorted EU policies, I've become concerned about devastating impacts on West African lives. Tackling trade injustice isn't just an economic issue, it's a poverty issue, a human rights issue, and inherently concerns social opportunities such as education, access to healthcare, and so on. So as a Christian, it is a wonderful opportunity to be here and working creatively and harmoniously alongside my Muslim brothers and sisters. Both faiths share a prophetic tradition of speaking truth to power. In my Christian faith, it was the prophet Isaiah who spoke of the kind of fasting that would loosen the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke to set the oppressed free. A prophetic vision that became Christ's vision in his kingdom, where he spoke of good news to the poor. My hope for today is that we leave not only inspired in our commitment to uphold principles of justice, fairness and equality, but we're also equipped to campaign and rally support for the Christian-Muslim youth statement on trade justice. So I want to just outline a few ideas I have and try and inspire you to go away and take this challenge on. So of course today is not only the beginning. Let's take the statement and encourage our faith community to sign it as a petition in support of our interest in reforming CAP, the Common Agricultural Policy, for the benefit of a more just trading system. Firstly, let's start off with a conversation that we've already been discussing now, a conversation we can take back to our faith communities and those around us about the role we can play as ethical consumers supporting fair trade and as political campaigners calling for trade equality. Perhaps we can put on events or a forum, a discussion group or a study of Holy Scripture to address why trade justice is important to us as Muslims and Christians. Secondly, get in contact with your MEPs, that is your Member of European Parliament. After all, they are our representatives. Remember, each electoral region in the UK has several MEPs, all of which you are entitled to contact. And as we were saying earlier, it may be a daunting task at first. No doubt will require a little bit of learning about economic policy. But most importantly, your MEPs will be willing to listen to you. And as young people taking up this challenge, they will be inspired by our passion and our enthusiasm. The Fair Trade website offers a very useful guide, which is the Learn to Speak European, a guide to lobbying MEPs, which I thoroughly recommend. Speaking on behalf of young people from two of the world's largest faiths is certainly a strength. However, it's important to remember and to remind your MEPs that we represent a wider movement for trade justice. Thirdly, as young people, let's think creatively and imaginatively about how we can make our voices heard. For example, how about supporting the statement with a creative petition recording messages of support in an MP3 player? Perhaps members of your church or your mosque or your youth group could record a couple of lines as to why they're passionate about trade justice. Perhaps we can think about how the clothes that we wear and the cotton that we purchase in our clothes has consequences in other parts of the world. For example, a campaign of signatures written on old spare pieces of fabric, a little bit like the cotton we have here. how that might convey to politicians